in 2005-06 when I was heading food and beverage with Taj Exotica in Goa. And apparently, to what I had seen after coming back, this is my second stint in Goa, there is much more aggressiveness in terms of developing the market, getting more and more new concepts introduced, like we've got this hot air ballooning coming up, recently there was a talk by CII on nautical tourism. So when you come to Goa and when you go through these concepts, it's quite motivating. You feel that you're in the right market and maybe, with the right direction from the government. I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities. So it's definitely motivating.
So here he's saying something very clearly that they're not stopping at 1 or 2. They're moving on because they see a lot of faith in this market, and Goa never goes out of fashion. I think so. It's always evergreen with tourism. And now MICE is picking up, and a lot of conferencing happens in resorts, if I'm not mistaken, because people really want to mix business and pleasure. So now I come to you, sir. You very clearly say you're a resort, right? You're not a hotel. So what's your challenge as a resort property? That's one. What's it that you think you want to do that's different to bring in business?
Challenging means like, good afternoon, representing for Toshali, that is in North Goa. Challenges means like, see, the aviation things are, it's a very high nowadays, so domestic people cannot come because of that high cost. That is the big challenge for us now. How movement of the people and all. Secondly,
No, I'm saying the challenges, but I mean, is there something that's different that you have to do that a hotel doesn't do? And what is it that you do to bring in more business to your property?
by just like putting.
It's like, do you get a different demand here of people?
We actually be in the wedding only, like Odisha, like in wedding only. But the clientele what we have over there is very like good clientele over there compared to Goa, because see, in Goa we have the clientele, like they have a choice. They have a different choice for a different hotel, and that is what the challenges what we face.
So you're saying that you're not getting a very high-end kind of business here?
Small here, because there's more hotels in Goa compared to Odisha.
Okay. Siddharth, I would like to ask you whether is Goa in need of an integrated resort experience? For example, what we have in Macau maybe, the experience that Hong Kong gives you as integrated consorted resorts. As Alila Diva, which is so popular in the Asia Pacific belt and especially Singapore, do you think like a concept like Resort World Sentosa might work in Goa?
Well, personally I think for way too long Goa as a destination has tried to be everything for everyone. We've adopted a strategy of trying to please every segment and every profile of traveler. Over the long run, that's probably to the detriment of the destination. If you talk about Alila specifically, we are a boutique hotel brand, so we are unlikely to build a mammoth Sentosa Island or a Venetian Macau kind of a complex, because it's not in our DNA to build something that large. But even taking a step back as an industry player in Goa, and I've been here for a few years now, personally I don't think that's the way we should go. There's already more than enough choice in Goa in terms of different options. Like my colleague from Toshali was saying, compared to an Orissa, there's a multitude of options in Goa. Rather than sinking a lot of capital into one mammoth enterprise, we probably should look at developing multiple destinations within the state, which can then serve to cater to a range of experiences for a traveler. Interestingly, I don't know how many people would know this fact, but while Goa is primarily known as a beach destination, our coastline is only 101 kilometers, which is 2% of our total land mass. So, imagine the pressure on 2% of the state's land for a bulk of the tourism promotion. So when you look at Ameya and a lot of other strong people at the helm right now are looking at promoting hinterland destinations. So the plots that you were talking about, some beautiful land around Maya Lake, these are places that are virgin territory, absolutely stunningly beautiful. So compared to an integrated resort, I would rather see development happening at multiple locations where you then offer a circuit for a traveler to go and experience different aspects of the state.
Very interesting. So Siddharth is being clear with his vision because yes, I completely agree. Alila positions itself as a boutique experience. So he says very clearly that maybe a Macau or a concept like a Sentosa resort might just not work in Goa because the mindsets are a little different to actually give it special experiences. So Mr. Menon, do you agree with your colleague? Because Zuri also has that wave of boutiqueness to it. And how do you see your property as a wedding hotspot, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. In fact, Goa has turned out to be one of the major wedding destinations in India, especially in the last 5 to 6 years. It attracts not only Indians from within the country, large number of NRIs and a lot of foreigners also come down to India, come down to Goa and get married. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there are around 25 5-star deluxe hotels in Goa, and on an average around 800 to 1000 weddings take place in this state. I think raking up a revenue around 450 to 500 crore per year, which is definitely adding up to the government's kitty and also adding up to the revenue for the units and also ensuring that the tourism stays and be able to have a major experience for all the guests who come down. No doubt Goa, people do come down here, and unlike a lot of other destinations, people don't mind coming to Goa again and again. I think that's one of the biggest attractions to Goa I've seen. In fact, a lot of destinations I know people go one time, but they may not go next time. But Goa is one place you don't get fed up of. You want to come back again and again. You see the figures. I think the last year we had more than nearly 3.9 million domestic tourists traveling to Goa, nearly 1 million international tourists coming down to Goa. And if you see the way the wind is flying, you see that domestic tourists have grown by more than 30% and the international tourists in fact shrunk by nearly 20%. So Goa is a place where people want to come, people want to see, and wedding is a business which is round the year. No doubt a lot of the Indian weddings are tied up to the Muhurat dates, the Hindu calendar. Unfortunately, this winter, the Muhurat dates, I think, lesser by around 30%, which are no doubt going to affect the jewelry business and other related businesses in the country. In fact, recently I was reading somewhere in Delhi, I believe the jewelry business has come down because the number of Muhurat dates have come down. So Goa is a major wedding destination. We give a complete package. No doubt we generally cater to the families. In fact, last year we did more than 50 residential weddings, which is adding up to nearly 55 to 60% of our top line, which is a major contributor. In fact, I have been in Goa for the last more than 15 years, and you see Arumba around 10 years back, even 5 years back, we used to have a definite season and off season. But now all those walls are crumbled. We only have, you can say, a season round the year. And with the client profile has changed. We generally traditionally used to have the international market, the charter market, generally traveling in the month of winter, and the domestic market restricted to the summer or the lean season. And we used to have an occupancy around 40%, 50% during the rains, around 80 to 90% during the winter. But now you see, in fact, for my hotel I can see, last year we did an average occupancy around 75% around the year. No doubt handling domestic guests is not easy. It's got its own challenges. Domestic guests are very demanding, but now we need to go with the wind. The major source markets which generally feed Goa, the European market, they are having financial stress. Russian market has nearly collapsed. The ruble has collapsed. Oil and gas prices are crashed. And in fact, as per Goldman Sachs, the price is expected to touch around $20 in another 6 months. So going forward, I think the market is going to be very delicate, very difficult, and I think we need to stress on the domestic market, the Indian market, and the bigger resorts and 5-star deluxe hotel. Definitely there's a big demand for wedding, and we are very proud to be one of the premier wedding destinations in Goa, and we are definitely showcasing the Indian culture, Goan culture, local culture, And in spite of having large number of weddings from NRIs and foreigners, there is a big demand for showcasing traditional Indian culture, custom, music, dances and cuisine. So we take great pride in providing this type of tourism to Goa and should be in a position to contribute to the government kitty by way of taxes. And this is definitely a growing market. I would also say the wedding market is a recession-proof industry. In spite of whatever happens around the world, I think when it comes to somebody's wedding, people don't think twice. Be it jewelry, be it hotel, be it cuisine, people I think are willing to splurge, and I think that's the way to move forward, and reflected by the fact that more than 80% of the segment coming down to Goa domestic market and less than 20% the international market. I think going forward, Goa will have to catch up on the weddings in my segment to strengthen our position in not only the domestic and the international market. Thank you.
That's wonderful because our research says that, sir. Our research very clearly says that India's future tourism business is domestic tourism, and there is no doubt that whether a Bengali travels down to Kerala or Oriya travels to Gujarat, it's all within, and we need to cash in within our own strengths. So you're very right, and recession-proof weddings, 100%. So yes, that is one business that can never go out of fashion once again, because Macau and Oman is also pitching itself as #1 wedding destinations. So I think Goa is going to work very hard to bring in more business. Mr. Saeed, your colleague said some very, very pertinent points. First and foremost, as
The idea of the destination itself. It's not uncommon in Bali for one of the staff members to take the guest to his home or to a local village festival that might be happening there. We recreate that similarly here. I think the beauty of this philosophy is that you can't do it in a very uniform, structured way. But we encourage staff to engage with guests on a personal level. So we had a housekeeping attendant who was talking to a guest, and she said, I want to experience something local. And he said, tomorrow is my parish feast, for which I've anyway taken a day off. So she said, can I come? And he said, by all means. Now, I know conventionally hotels would frown upon that. They'd say, you can't get too close and draw the line. But she came back later and she couldn't stop gushing about it. She said, I was the only non-Goan there, but it was such an intimate local experience to be a part of that. You can't draw SOPs around something like that as a hotel. Today, everything or a guest's expectation is becoming more experience-based. Sure, you can shell out $2,000 for a fancy suite, but more and more guests are saying, what can I take back from there that stays in your memory? So, in terms of differences, our memories that we create being in Goa will be different from the memories that my Bali colleagues will create. But that's also in a way a similarity, because we're both focusing on creating the local experience of the place.
So Siddharth actually is defining the business of hoteliering in a very different way. He's going beyond the tables and the balance sheets, and obviously
Actually,
the
if I
ROI.
can interrupt, the first thought when I saw your topic, the business of hoteliering is today becoming a bit of an art of hoteliering, the science of hoteliering, and quite frankly, sometimes the witchcraft of hoteliering. Because you can't really, there's so much intangible to that. So, but yeah, you have to eventually translate that into balance sheets and so on.
So yeah, it's touching the intangible. He's saying it's touching the abstract, because I wanted to actually check with them what is their definition of hoteliering. He naturally said it, that the lady with the parish, or for me as the mother, who just said that I want my children to be at peace more than me on a holiday, frankly. So yes, I think the way things are moving today, we are moving in from a very techie world to a super techie world. Really, I like tweeting, Facebooking is normal. If you don't do it, you're abnormal, right? So I remember talking to this gentleman called Sonu Shivdasani, who owns the Six Senses Resort brands, alright? And they have one of the finest brands in Maldives today. So what he does is, the moment you land in, apparently, he just believes in a concept called digital detox, where you switch off everything, period. From your cell phone, to your iPads, to your laptops, he just takes it off you. And he also takes off one more thing, your chappals and your shoes. He makes you walk on bare sand on the beach. He says, that's it. This is what I want to give my guests. And I charge you nothing because I don't even give you a television. So I think that's hoteliering again, which is called digital detox. And I thought, wow, I mean, seriously, we need to detox. So, but I will have to bring in technology here again, because as you just mentioned, you have to be online to do your business. So, sir, how important is technology to get your voice out, saying, hey, I'm Zuri and I'm here to fulfill what you want?
As you are aware, in the last, say, 6-7 years, social media is playing a very important role. Today, most of the guests check on TripAdvisor, what are the various guest reviews, what is the rating, before booking a holiday. So obviously, medium and technology is playing a very critical role in even the decision making of a guest to decide which destination to go, where to stay, which hotel to stay, how many days to stay, and what sort of experience that you should look at. So obviously, it is all connected digitally. And now, for example, I think there were a lot of surveys which says that a complimentary Wi-Fi is more important than even a complimentary breakfast. I mean, that's the way technology is playing. I think people are more interested in that. I remember I used to work in a place like Kumarakam for some time. In fact, that destination has got very lot of high-end guests, and we used to have a lot of traffic from the Middle East which used to come, generally in the months of June, July, which are traditionally weak months. And these are the months we have heavy rains, and we used to have huge traffic from GCC, mainly countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. And the moment the guests land in the hotel, the first thing they ask is they want to log on straight away, especially the women. All are glued on to the tablet or the mobile. They don't look anywhere. In fact, I have seen a lot of family reunion and guest reunion. In fact, I was just reading somewhere that in fact 4 of the friends met together in a hotel, say after 15 years. And when they were sitting on a table, all 4 looking at their own tablets, own digital media, instead of looking at each other and talking. That's how technology actually hijacked the way lifestyle now. We need to understand, we need to respect, no doubt, we need to be part of it. But I think going forward, like you rightly said, I think digital detoxification, I think will be coming sooner or later. Because I think even families, even though you've got husband, wife with a child, even if they go out, each one has got a minimum one device. And that is another major issue I've seen. We got guests coming, a family 2 + 2, 4, they have 8 to 10 devices with them, and all of them want to log in, and then they start cribbing, oh, you're slow at me, or this problem, that problem. I think the technology is really driving everything in our life today. But I think once in a while, I think we need to take charge of our own life, and we need to detoxify. Like you rightly said, I think digital present, like we see the contribution of OTA. I remember like recently, I think it's contributing to nearly 20% of our room nights. Whereas traditionally Goa used to get a large number of room nights with traditional travel agents or tour operators, charters. The whole dynamics is changing, the whole mix is changing, and technology is definitely driving the business, driving the future, and is also making life easy. Operationally, things are becoming much easier for the employees, the team members to recognize the guests, understand their needs, and able to wow the guests, and is playing a very, very critical role in our day-to-day life. And no doubt we cannot get out of the whole thing. We would like to look at each other. We would love to look at our own family, own wife, children for a change, instead of just looking at the screen and feel them. I think that's what life is. But I think we need to take a gamble. But at the end of the day, we need to accept reality of life, and we need to accept technology going forward. It has got its own pros and cons, and I think each one has to take an individual decision. From a hotel's perspective, from a resort perspective, no doubt technology plays a very critical role in ensuring that we provide excellence of service, trying to improve guest recognition, trying to anticipate the guest need, understanding from the guest history. These all play a very important role, and we always are more process driven than individual driven to ensure that we provide guests a fabulous experience, fabulous holiday when he or she comes to a place like Goa.
Perfect. So you're actually giving the pros and the cons of the business, which is fair enough, because as a businessman you have to be logged in, but when you tour a personal holiday, probably log off, is what you're saying. Sir, I want to ask you this point about what is it that Toshali does to bring in a certain clientele? Because I remember your resort in Orissa is what probably Siddharth just mentioned. It's all about getting to the Oriya culture. Correct? If I'm not mistaken, it's all about, I remember your positioning is about understanding Orissa. As he said, you have to get the destination before the resort. So, how different are you today when you're looking at positioning your Goa resort? In Orissa, you're very clearly positioning yourself as the resort property that talks about Oriya culture. Right? Toshali is known to be giving a lot of Oriya culture back to its guests. So, do you do similar things in Goa as well? Or how do you sell your property better in Goa? Like, what is it that you do to bring in business? A property, what is it that the owners expect? That's one. That's my first question to you. And my second question is, how do you match those expectations, and what is it that you're going to do now with Russia going out of business to actually bring in the domestic traveler?
Good afternoon, everyone. Now, as for owners' expectations, what they look forward is loyalty from the guests. They want repeat guests. Now, this is one of the major, share of occupancy that we do when you have repeat guests. It's always a challenge to get a new guest, where you need to run a lot of offers. Now domestic market works more, business comes through domestic business, the major chunk comes from online. Now your visibility is what counts over here. Since I've been into sales, if you are visible online, on your mobile, on your apps, that's like an added advantage to you. And in that little information what you provide on the apps, everything, it has to be more descriptive. Now this helps in the long run as well when you are having this domestic guest coming to your property. Now as for charters, it's an unpredictable market. Now since last year there's a huge drop. In fact, I would say I used to do an occupancy in my previous property of around 90% on charters. I dropped down by another 70%.
It's dropped down by 70%?
Yes, that too working in a prime location like Paga, which is very close to Tito's. So I had a huge task of getting in domestic clients. So online is what's the future is at the moment. And apart from that, to improve the domestic guests from coming as well, what the government should do is take care of the basic necessities like cleanliness as well as the roads. The roads are in really terrible condition up north. It's fine in Panjim, but up north we need to work towards that.
Oh, so you're talking about infrastructure bottlenecks,
Yes.
and you expect the government to support you there.
Yes.
Right, and you're saying online visibility is very crucial for your business.
Yes.
And your owner obviously is looking for repeat clientele.
Yes.
Amazing, because these are very important points. I'll stir the discussion now to a business which is resorty, but also not in the right definition of being a resort. He is somebody who wants to take up the villa business forward, and Goa is known to be, apart from a resort destination, a villas destination. The amount of villas here that are here, small, big, special. So Satish is the person who started the concept called the Weekend Planner. So Satish, please tell us and tell our readers as to how minutely different is your game plan, and what is it which is your primary challenge today as a villa property business?
Good afternoon. I'm Satish from the Weekend Plan. We are a Mafatdal company. What we do is essentially provide everyone across the country and international customers to come and stay inside super luxury properties, multi-crore homes, with the same service that you can expect from any 7-star hotel. So that is where the biggest challenge for us, before I continue anything else, is explaining someone this simple thing. We are here giving you maximum privacy, which a hotel doesn't know how. The hotel is very centric to Baga, some specific part of South Goa. My guests have an opportunity to go to Moira. They have a chance to live in the wilderness parts of Goa. They get an opportunity to be near the beach if they want to be. They get an opportunity to be a river-facing property. They can have a wedding wherever they want. You know, I have 23 villas in the country right now, and I'm sure we'll have another 125 next year. So we plan to have 500 villas in Goa. Our commitment to Goa is very serious. We are having properties which has 2 bedrooms to 17 bedroom villas. They're estates. They're all very lavish. They're very luxurious. But our challenges are very different from yours. For me, the biggest problem is getting skilled manpower. Not a single person from the hospital industry gets up in the morning and dreams to join Weekend Plan. They don't even know who we are. You know, they're very clear he wants to join a Zuri or a Hyatt or a Hilton. They don't even know where we are or who we are. So for us to communicate to them that we are here, we are organized in this part of the sector, which is very different from yours. The hotel and villa put together can serve guests of every percentage. So together we can do so much difference to Goa, and we can change the business entirely.
So Satish, you're saying your problem is manpower.
Very, very. Currently, in this form.
Right, because obviously you're a new concept,
Exactly.
people want to work for a brand. But Satish, as a villa owner, you also told me a very interesting point, that I want to cater to the woman traveler. Because they want their privacy, they don't want to be seen in a swimming pool with uncomfortable surroundings. So how are you planning to position this business in the psyche of the people?
Essentially, what you're saying is the principle of a business. Privacy to the utmost level and comfort to every, not only the woman, but every mother also. She gave me a beautiful idea to put a high chair, and I installed 5 high chairs in every villa. So, I mean, she's contributed to one part of everything. We are creating consistency across properties. So, when a woman comes inside a property of ours, there are no cameras covering it. There is no caretaker standing in. So when a woman traveler comes to our villas, we change the entire staff to women. So there's a woman chef, there's a lady, a caretaker, there's the security person is standing outside the property. So essentially, it's quite safe and comfortable for a woman traveler. And creating privacy is essentially what we're trying to do.
Wonderful. Piyush, we're talking about women and privacy. How safe is your destination? How safe is Goa? That's number one. And as a resort property, it's sprawling. What's it that you guys do? Maybe I'll ask that to Alila as well as Zuri. How do you manage that control of safety?
Well, safety of course is one of the top priority for any traveler, irrespective whether women in particular, yes, but it could be for anybody else as well. Because all of us would like to, spend our leisure time in a place where we feel secure. Coming to the point of this destination being secured, I come from the city called Muzaffarnagar, which is in the UP, and it's always in the news for practically everything, So, when I look at Goa, that's my personal thought. I still feel Goa is a very, very safe place, for tourists as well as people living here. It's many times safety is not just about you can put CCTV, you can put various technology, but end of the day it's up to an individual as well. We all have to manage our own safety. We have to manage our own security. So we end up going to a nasty place post midnight, and we can't really expect the government to taking care of us or the local cops to take care of us. We have to end up taking care of ourselves. All that said away, but otherwise, yes, I feel Goa is comparatively a very, very safe destination in India, and I think in comparison to safety security even worldwide, I think this is a very safe place. I still feel I'm quite confident the local Goan population is very, very helpful. They do take care of tourists. You might run short of fuel or you might run short of anything, there's always somebody other to help you, assist you in any part of the city. So that is there, of course. As a hotel, yes, safety is one of our top priority, and we've identified few rooms which are specific to single lady travelers. There is a specific SOP in place which is followed. How to handle single women travelers. We ensure there is enough CCTV coverage for throughout the property. Unlike maybe villas, but definitely keeping in mind the hotel business, we don't allow to any sort of loophole when it comes to security.
Siddharth, I would like you to compare Goa with your other properties in Asia Pacific, please. How different is your property here? Why is it different? That's one. And what is it that Goa does that Asia Pacific does not do?
Well, like I said before, we are primarily a boutique hotel company. When you compare the hotels in Southeast Asia, they've been around for a lot longer than we have. We're a 6-year-old property here in Goa and the first in India. Our hotels in Bali are about 15 years, 18 years old. Some are about 7 to 10 years old. So age of the property and therefore the personality the property has varies, because if you were built 20 years back versus 6 years back, you're going to look different. But also I think, of course, there are other architectural and pricing point differences as well. Some of our hotels in Southeast Asia, like the Alila Villas, Uluwatu, Alila Villas, Suri, are all villa properties by the ocean front, average rates of about $700 a night. Now obviously that's a very different market than Goa itself. But those apart, I think as a personality of staff or the cultural impact, we're a brand who's all about giving the guest a local experience. For example, we don't have a one-size-fits-all brand standard that every Alila has to follow. Each hotel creates its set of code standards along with the corporate office that applies to that property only. The core standards are not only helping you to run your property efficiently, but to give your guest a fair idea of the destination. One thing that we're very clear.
No, for sure. What is it that you want to bring on the table that is through experience, maybe?
Unconventional comfort. Unconventional comfort.
Okay.
People are used to talking about service, 7-star qualities. I think it's become a standard now. I mean, that's given. Wi-Fi, probably pickups and drop, breakfast, food. So, a private chef, butler is there. But I believe strongly in what he was saying, creating personal experiences is everything. We are lucky that we get an opportunity to do this all the time. Our business is less on booking online as a commercial hotel. It's more on the phone. People pick up the phone and ask us, यहाँ पे ये है क्या, यहाँ पे वो है क्या? Because the hotel is a sixth. They know ये हो जाएगा. And under the villa business, they are not sure. So, is there milk in the fridge? It is. Is there tea and coffee provision? There is. All these things are there. But over and beyond that, what we can offer is there anything that you want to do which we can create only for you and your family? A multi-generation family coming in, ramps to be provided for the parents, special tours to be conducted only at the property at a specific time. My children want to go to the pool at 4 o'clock in the morning, they're going to party all night. Will the servant be there to serve them? And will another person be there to serve my mother in the morning, early morning at 5 o'clock? Can we create a special mandir for my mother? So we do this. We create, organize, and plan and produce a mandir within 48 hours for our guests. We've done it. So it is very specific, unique experiences that we have an opportunity to do it.
Wow, that's it. I mean, they've actually gone the extra mile to respect the needs of the senior citizens. In fact, that was my next question. He already brought me into it. This is one segment that I don't think we have forgotten them, but they are the ones who are traveling today. The 60 plus, as we call them, the famous called the baby bloomers as they are called, but they really want to relax today. Probably there was one generation who said they've earned enough, now I want to take a break. and they want to do it. So, sir, do you see a lot of old people coming to you? If you do, then is there something that you've done that's specially catering to them?
See, when it comes to this sector of market share of old people coming traveling, they prefer something more relaxed. They don't prefer staying up north. They prefer going to the south Goa hotels because it's less crowded, okay, and the beaches and as good as very not much crowd. So the old people prefer going down south rather than coming north. It's the youngsters who come towards the north, if you see. Okay, but now if you see culture-wise, Goa has innovated and reinvented itself for each and every culture. During the early 80s and the 70s, we had the hippie culture in Goa. After that, we came into the chatters, this chatter, and right now it is the casino culture. That is what's prevailing right now, because we see a lot of clients coming for casino only, because Goa is the only state, I believe, where there is casinos. Yeah, so it's basically a multicultural destination, if you see.
Perfect. In fact, while they were saying these interesting points, from infrastructure to government building small pockets to he's saying that integrated resorts might not work here, we're going to do experiences. The bottom line is you cannot get away with the online business. You have to promote yourselves online to go that extra mile. It's all about experiences, and Goa is here to stay as a wedding destination, as a MICE destination, as a villas destination, and as a resorts destination. I'm saying this specifically because I have only 10 minutes left because I want to stop on time. I want the audience to probably, if you have something in your mind as a vendor you want to ask, please go ahead. Oh, okay, he says today is the International Day of the Elderly, October 1st. This is great. Please.
Namaskar, greetings to all of you. Thank you for, hello, namaskar to all of you, and we thank you all for edifying us with your information. I am from the mattress industry, and we have been the pioneers in the mattress industry. We are catering to hospitality industry under the brand Spring Tech mattresses. Now this is a brand which is very popular in North India. Now we are trying to disseminate the same in Goa, and this is the first time that we have experienced this kind of an experience talking to a knowledgeable panelist like all of you. And I've been participating in AHAR. I'm the director of the company. So my question to all of you is a very simple question. On one hand, we talk about Make in India. Now, everybody, the Honorable Prime Minister says you have to make in India and make sure that the Indian products are used not only in India but also they are exported outside. Now, even on the international television a few days back, Mr. Modi had requested all of us to wear the khadi clothes on Diwali, as it gives a lot of overall revenue to the women, widows. Now my question to you is, what I'm trying to say is, we are making top-notch mattresses, spring mattresses. We are making top-notch spring mattresses. Now an international company from Malaysia had approached us to make their products in India and sell it to all the hoteliers. So I personally feel that when Indians can make good quality products, and of course they are doing that, even in India there are companies which are hardcore coming in from outside and they're making the same quality products using the same old machinery. There's nothing extraordinary. So all the good hotels like Leela and other hotels, Royal Oakland, they go for international brands over us. Now we have an exhibition, we have a products exhibited here. We would request you to come and have a look at our products and also tell us why that there's so much of priority that is given to international brands over our fellow Indian brands. I'm not saying that every Indian maker is a good brand maker. I'm not saying that. But yes, what I've seen, all the international brands which are making in India, they're using the same machines, same technology. If there's something different, then I understand that you should buy their products. But when they're making from the same machine, pocket springs are being coming out from the same machine, then why there's so much of preference that's given to international brands? And this is one of the problems that I face. I have to go as an owner and request the housekeepers, and then they understand that okay, I show them a product recently. There's a hotel in Bombay called the Palladium Hotel. Now I beat a company like Simmons. I've taken the order from the owners of the Palladium Hotel, but I had to go myself. I had to show them the USPs of my product. And the product, ma'am, was not only a branded product, but also it was more expensive than ours. And our product was much better. So they understood and they gave the order to us. So this is my small question. I put it in a big way so that you understand what we as a vendor are also going through. Thank you so much.
I think the vendor community is feeling a little let down or a little threatened that though international brands probably you give better standards, better quality, but is that stamp of an international name far superior than?
Sometimes we are motivated also. We
Right.
take it in the right spirit. We learn a lot from, of course, international brands, but we feel that there's a lot of priority been given to international brands.
I don't know, maybe Piyush, you want to take this? Then would you probably at least give him a look?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you with regards to the Make in India campaign. In fact, every Indian is. See, I mean, like I've worked with Taj for like almost a decade, and then my last assignment was with Starboard. So I was with this brand called Westin, and currently, of course, with Royal Orchid. See, I mean, many times it happens is, especially with regards to your product, like Westin uses something called as Heavenly Bed, which is a specific brand standard across all Westins across the globe. Whereas the specific way that bed has to be manufactured, there is a certain specific number of springs which needs to be there. So many times what happens is a lot of these brand standards are have been made some time back, and they've been made by somebody sitting in a corporate office. Maybe not that person might have not even visited India. So maybe that person it would make sense if you could bring it up to a corporate office for those kind of organizations. Maybe that level of awareness that India has graduated over the period of time, and there are vendors in India who are manufacturing products which are at par to international standards. So many times the lack of awareness, the lack of availability also works out. So those are specific areas. Maybe as a vendor based out of in India, you might have to travel overseas and sell your product. That you being in India, you can deliver a Western bed. So today they might be buying from somebody else. Tomorrow you never know. You could be pitching for that bed overseas. And many times what happens is even for Indian companies, lot many times decisions do taken at the corporate office. So we have to follow those kind of brand standards which have been set. So there's not much up to the unit specific to take the final call. But I totally understand, and I know India definitely has graduated over the period of time. There's much more available now in India what it used to be maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line.
So that you agree, since you're also an international corporate company?
Well, actually,